Hey, it's Dean. Welcome back to the Better Man podcast. Today's episode, I have Russ H here to talk about his fitness journey. So, Russ, let's get started with how you started with Man Flow Yoga. When did you start?
So I started about 3 years ago, I think it was. I It was at the end of the pandemic, and I decided that I really need to do something about my health and my fitness. And I was experiencing a
Mm,
lot of soreness and sort of back pain, too much sort of hanging around during the pandemic. And I thought, well, I'll go and do some yoga, try and find something on YouTube. And so I
hmm
searched yoga, and it was all sort of like female orientated. And I thought, no, this is not right. So I thought, well, is there any yoga for men out there? And you popped up, and then that was that. And about 2 weeks later, I
Okay,
started up with Manflow Yoga and signed up for the whole year.
got it. Cool. So let's talk more about that realization that you were being really inactive during the pandemic. You had some aches and sores popping up more than you were used to. What was happening there?
Yeah, so as I say, just generally sort of sore, and I was about 45, I think, at the time, a few years ago, as I said, and I was thinking, well, I really need to start needing to do something about my fitness. I've never been really into gyms and things like that. It's really not my thing. I've tried other things and maybe do it for 2, 3 weeks and then just think it's too hard. I don't like this.
Mm,
I'm not going for the no pain, no gain thing. And as I said, I've tried yoga before. So I got into yoga and I thought, this is amazing. The changes were like literally instant. The day after, 2 days later, I felt so much better. And I thought, wow, this is
oh
really,
wow.
really good. Sort my back out straight away. I was like, this is amazing. And I tried a few more of the workouts on YouTube. And then got into it that way. So it wasn't really like a one big oh shit moment. It was sort of more smaller ones along the way. I've always sort of
hmm
known that I should do more about my fitness and my health. And now that I'm
hmm
sort of 48, I'm thinking, well, I'll be 50 soon. I really need to do something better, bigger, more, look
mm
after myself. And yeah, having joined and engaged as well, I found out there's much more things I can do um, in small steps to sort of look after myself and improve my fitness and things like that. So that's kind of where I am at the moment.
Okay. Cool. So, I mean that's pretty cool that you did a workout or a couple of workouts and you noticed the improvement immediately. So I'm assuming that that's what helped you be consistent. Because if I don't know, my question normally here is, what do you think enabled you to be consistent, especially considering that you've tried to do workout programs in the past and you kind of usually give up after a couple of weeks. So what was the difference?
I think the big difference is when I've done other things in the past, you end up being more sore than you were originally, and that puts me off. I don't like being sore. The whole kind of the whole idea of no pain, no gain, working till
hmm
you barely can't move. That's just not right, and it just doesn't sit well with me. I've got a job to do, a very quite active job, and I can't be walking
mm
around stiff and sore like that. It just puts me in a bad mood. So
Yeah.
the more sort of I say gentle approach from yoga, it's really surprised me how intense it could be, and I thought this is brilliant. It's exactly what I want. Something that's making change. I can feel the difference in my muscles. I can feel the difference in my posture and things like that. And like I say,
hmm
within sort of two sort of workouts, there's certainly sort of 2 weeks, I was like, this is absolutely amazing. Where do I sign up? So I did. In that first month, I was pretty much on it every day. My wife's like, "Wow, you've really got into this," and because she couldn't get, me to do anything else really, I was so like busy doing. I've got to do my yoga today. I've got to do my yoga today. But then when
mm
real life sort of takes over again, you kind of get out of that habit. So when that
hmm
initial sort of flush had finished, I did find it a little bit more difficult to be consistent.
hmm
But I've kind of gone in and come out of it, on off, on off. And again, we've had discussions in the group and things about that. You might do yoga a lot. You might come out of it, come away from it a little bit and do something else. So you might have to take a break
hmm
and come back. And so that's what I've done. And it's not a problem now. I don't just because I'm not doing it all every day. I don't find it an
hmm
issue. It's not something to be worried about because I know I'll come back to it. The big change for me, having since joined Engage, and we had that discussion about, what is it that makes you want to do it, and it's that feeling
Yeah.
afterwards, and that really has been a game changer for me. Is if I get home from work and I'm tired, I think, oh, I've got to do some yoga. It's like, yeah, but damn well you'll feel better after you've done it, and that's all I need. That's a kick in the arse that I need just to get my mat out and get on with it,
mm
and that's now become my
Yeah.
non-negotiable. Every day, 6, 7 o'clock in the evening, yoga mat out, yoga's been done. So
Yeah.
that's helped me a lot with my
That's great.
consistency.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think I'm surprised at that. I was initially surprised when I asked people, hey, what helps you be consistent? And they said, well, it's knowing how I feel afterwards. I said, oh, okay. So yeah, so that kind of fits in with that. You know that after you do the workouts, you're going to feel great, and even if you're not energetic beforehand, you're going to feel better afterwards.
Yeah.
So yeah, that tracks. So what do you do for work? You said you have a
I'm
very
a high
active
school
job.
teacher in a secondary
Okay,
school, so we teach from the ages of 11 to 18 in my job that I do.
got it.
So it's pretty full on.
Okay, what do you teach?
Chemistry and sciences.
Chemistry and sciences. Okay, chemistry. That was 11th grade. No, 10th grade. I think. I can't remember. I think it was 10th grade. 10th grade for me.
Right. Is that
Yeah,
11? Sorry, 14, 15-year old?
10th grade. I would have been 16.
Oh, right. Okay. Yes, the GCSE age. That's the first sort of exams that our students take. And then if they stay on to decide to study advanced level, that would then take them up to university level after that. So yeah, I teach all the way through.
Got it. Okay. So you mentioned you mentioned kind of ups and downs with consistency, and I think a lot of people really struggle with that when if like you, they were really good for a month, right? You're doing the workouts every day; it's kind of a non-negotiable, and then after that, maybe you just start doing other things, or you lose, the same level of motivation that you had, the same level of excitement because it's not as new anymore. So, how did you get to the point where you just realized it's okay to have those ups and downs, or what did that look like for you?
I think the realization it's okay is taken me into sort of July this year when we've discussed this in Engage really, and it's okay to
Hmm.
have times when you're full on with yoga and you may be less busy and more motivated to do it, and it's also okay as well when it takes a back seat and you do something different instead, or you must maybe take a little bit of a break. I did find initially that if I did do yoga and like too many intense workouts together, I was getting really sore, and but to the point where I didn't like that. I don't like that soreness as I mentioned, and so I
Yeah.
learned just to back off it maybe and have another rest day or something like that, or do something less strenuous. Um,
Hmm.
I did also. You mentioned something as well way back actually about discipline is much better than motivation, and you
Yeah.
should get on the mat, you should be getting the workout done, and I did adopt that mantra for quite a while, and that's actually something I share now with my students when they're doing revision for exams and stuff is I know you're not motivated to revise for exams, but you have to be disciplined. So all my students know that
Oh wow.
mantra: discipline over motivation. I'm gonna
Okay.
get it put up on my
That's really
classroom
cool.
wall. Discipline over motivation. Deep Holman,
Yeah.
2024.
I'll send you a 24-inch photo of me, and just we'll just put it up on the wall.
Oh, that'd be
Discipline over
brilliant. I would
motivation.
happily have that on my wall.
Everyone
All the
would be like,
students were
"Who
like,
is
who's
this
this guy? I said,
guy?"
that is the yoga dude. That is the yoga dude.
That's the yoga dude. Is he on TikTok? Maybe. Yes. That's funny. And I always like to go back to that first month of when you're developing, that consistency. And you talked about changing your mindset of moving from, motivation based to focusing on discipline instead. What do you think really helped you be consistent that first month, especially when you weren't feeling energetic or didn't want to do it?
I think it was that idea that if you want to improve, you've got to do something consistently. You talk about 3 times a week, and that was the minimum that I wanted to be able to do things. So I would
Hmm.
like reschedule around my working days and that to make sure that was fitted in. But I really then sort of when it started to wane, that motivation, that newness started to fade. It was then that you've got to be disciplined in this if you want to make a difference. You have to do
Hmm.
it. You can't be sitting there thinking, well, I've subscribed, I've paid my money, and nothing's happening. You have to be doing it on the mat. You have to hit that mat every day or every other day or
Hmm.
whatever it is. So I say that's really helped me get over that. Oh, can't be bothered, can't be asked to do it. It's like no, get up, go
Hmm.
and do it because it's going to make you feel better. And like I said, now that is my driving force. I know it's going to make a difference. I know it's going to make me feel better, taller, more energetic when I'm tired, that kind of thing. And there's so many
Hmm.
different things you can choose from. It doesn't have to be the workout you plan for that day. You can pick something else as well. If you're not feeling it at the end of the day, or you're not feeling it in the morning, there's always something else you can pick as well. So I think in terms of consistency, my main thing would be focus on the afterglow. Focus on the
Hmm.
afterglow, and that gets you to do it. Really does.
Yeah. And I like that you also mentioned if you're just not feeling up to the normal workout, you can also choose a less intense workout. There's so many options. That's the benefit of choosing your own workouts, right?
Yeah,
You can
absolutely.
do what you want on that day. So, what have you noticed in your life? What improvements have you noticed as a result of being more consistent with exercise, just in day to day life?
All sorts. More energy, better focus in the day. Um, since we've been doing the sort of engage, my stress levels are way lower than what they would have been. In
What do you think's helped with that
I just think
in
the
particular?
stuff we've discussed, the things that be kind to yourself, don't hold yourself to such high standards all the time. No one's perfect. We try to. In my job, there's always something that needs doing. You're never ever going to get a clean slate. But for 20 odd years, I've tried to
Yeah.
get that done to keep that to do list so short. But it is a killer. It can be a killer. And sometimes you say, no, that's enough. I've done enough today. That can wait till tomorrow.
Hmm.
Or this is a stressful situation and it's a pain having to sort something out. So we tend to spend a lot of time having things put upon us in my job, things that we then have to go and sort out. So you often very often sort of firefighting with things, and that can lead to a very stressful situation. It can lead to a lot of conflict with other colleagues and staff and things like that. But I've now got the mentality that why get stressed about it? It's not my fault. I can sort the problem. And I can sort it better and faster if I remain calm. I don't need to be
Mm.
exploding emotionally or moaning, groaning, whinging, whining, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
I do have the occasional sort of like, rah at people when I need to, or, a moan and a whinge, but there's nowhere near as much as that. And that's been, I think, the main change I've noticed this year since being engaged. But in terms of physical
Hmm.
stuff from doing the yoga as well, I mean, like my posture's better, I stand taller, I ache less, I move better, I'm much more flexible than I used to be. Um, I have always been quite flexible. I can bend over and put my hands feet flat on the floor anyway, but I can do that and now go further. Bending and picking things up is not a problem. I mean, when my daughter was a lot younger, it used to hurt to pick her up, but that's not a problem. And she's now twice the age and twice the weight.
Hmm.
I can sort of pick her up and swing around and things like that. And it's just everything's just so much better. And it's not. I've not had to go to a gym to get that done. I've not had to be hitting, weights and things, and no pain, no gain. Okay, I'm not going to be the next Arnold Schwarzenegger, but I'm happy, and that's the main thing. I'm happy with what I'm doing.
Yeah. I mean, no, you said it perfectly. And I think what's significant is that you have all these functional benefits in terms of strength, in terms of energy and flexibility, but it doesn't come at the expense of your short term how you feel, right? You're building strength, but you're also not, killing your body in the process. You're
Yeah,
not feeling excessively sore. You're able to still do, you're able to still do all the other things that you want to do in life, but so how long do you think it took to notice some of these benefits that you're talking about?
I think the physical stuff was like literally days, weeks, and then sort of months
Wow.
down the line, once I've been doing it sort of more consistent, I was looking at myself and thinking, "Wow, you've got some definition, and not a massive amount, but I could see it." And I'm thinking that's those lines, those definition lines, have been there before, and that makes you feel great. As a guy
Mm,
that's always been overweight, a guy that's always sort of a little bit self conscious about how he looks, that's been a really big
hmm.
confidence boost. And to know that I feel better and I move better and I think I look better as well is incredible.
Yeah. And then I wanted to go back to you were talking about just being kind to yourself. Do you think that's the just changing the way that you treat yourself? Do you think that's why you're more calm? Is that the main reason for that, or I really want to focus on that idea of just being more calm in day to day life? What do you think
Um,
is responsible for that?
yeah, I suppose really it is. It's that idea that you don't have to do everything straight away. That's something else I've learned as well. Is much smaller, less significant changes actually produce bigger, better results longer term because it's more sustainable to do that. And like I say,
Hmm.
being kind to yourself and not beating yourself up about things and learning how to deal with that negative self talk has been really really important as well.
Yeah, I
It's,
think a lot of people something that we've heard from within that engaged community and with a lot of these interviews that I've done is people start with the negative self-talk in order to kind of motivate themselves to exercise, but in order to be successful over time, that negative self-talk, kind of that shame-based or guilt-based motivation has to shift
yeah,
to where you're treating yourself with kindness
yeah.
instead. And then, you know, so yeah. That makes sense to me.
It does.
So I know you also do other. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I'm gonna say, like if you got a dog, if you keep abusing the dog's not going to respond. You've got to treat the dog well. You've got to, coach it right. And it's interesting to kind of think, where does that mentality come from? Where does that negative self talk come from in your mind? What's happened to make you think that? Maybe it's just the
Hmm.
ills of society. I don't know, but it's been an interesting, um, not a massive journey, but a small journey to kind of change that mindset. And I'm liking that. I'm liking getting into the reflective side of yoga and engage. And I say it's had a big difference on the way I think I view life. I don't get as much stress. I'm not bothered by things as much. I'm not as
Hmm.
emotionally outbursting, as maybe I would have been in the past. And that's really quite important. And that helps just get settled into the yoga and being more chilled and everything in general, really.
Yeah, I think that definitely taking time to reflect on things and to pause is, yeah, overlooked in our society. And like you said, it's about how much can I get done in as little time as possible. Let me get the things off the to-do list instead of taking time
Yeah.
to process things and lowering your expectations on
Mm.
yourself, which has been that for me has been that for me has been very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't always do it, but when I'm doing it,
I think as well that,
um,
that negative self talk comes back to that idea of you expect when you start doing something new to see results immediately. It's like why I already dropped
yeah.
like 14 pounds a stone, whatever it is, in literally 2 days. Well, that's unrealistic. You can't have that expectation, but you do. I've been going to the gym. I've been doing this. Why aren't I looking like X, Y, Z? It's not fast enough. But it takes you
Hmm.
years to get into the state that you are. It's taken all my life. I've always been unfit, overweight, and I could have been doing better. But now I'm taking steps to move forward. That's the main thing is I'm
Hmm.
doing something about it.
Yeah, and let's get into that because I know that yoga isn't the only thing you do. You also do you do other workout classes, and you also have, I think, in the last couple of months, at least based on what you've been saying within the engaged community, you've been now making little tweaks to your diet,
Hmm.
and you've been noticing some pretty significant results.
Yeah. So after the second month, I think it was, we looked at nutrition. Um, Started looking at diet and making small changes there. I really sort of cut down on things like carbohydrates. I identified certain types of carbs that just don't agree with me, and I'd never even thought that was a thing.
Hmm.
You get to the age of 40 odd, and you eat whatever's put in front of you. That's how I was brought up. If you didn't eat it, that was it. You went without.
Hmm.
So you ate pretty much whatever was put down in front of you. And there's a simple suggestion of what doesn't work well with your body, and it turns out it's noodles. Like Chinese noodles, can't
Hmm.
stand them. I hate the taste, the texture, and they actually make me feel crap afterwards. So they're gone. I don't have those anymore. I've cut back on. We don't tend to eat a lot of white bread. We tend to have wholemeal bread most of the time. But again, I cut back on that and started using sort of cracker bread things instead. Made some
Hmm.
tweaks. Big thing is ditching the low fat foods, which is something that I've always had drummed into me as an important thing. Is
Hmm.
your advice to kind of switch up on that and go back to full fat stuff, and that's made a big difference
Hmm.
because I'm not hungry. I'm not always wanting something else anymore. Um,
Hmm.
Having been away for a week, I've kind of slipped back into a few old habits, but I'm looking forward to getting back into that now. Um, and thinking again about what I'm eating. I started taking protein shakes. I've also started taking some creatine as well, and that has my brain is brilliant at the minute.
Hmm.
Been listening to people like Josh talking about it and the kind of change in mental acuity, and it's amazing stuff. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm thinking I'm 40 odd, and my brain's already starting to tire. Being at work, it can be quite tiring, but I think it's made a big difference of taking a little bit of creatine with a protein shake in the morning. That's been an interesting experiment, as it were.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. And kind of like you said, it's a lot of like you haven't overhauled your diet entirely. You've just made little tweaks
yeah,
and recognized, oh, this doesn't do well with my body. Um, so that's cool. And yeah, I'm glad that you also took my advice on the fats thing. I think there is still, I think fats need a new word. That's the issue
mm,
because you say fat and you're like, oh, well, that's body fat. I'm like, well, no, fat is also a type of food, and it doesn't make you fat necessarily,
yeah, yeah,
you know. So I think that's where the confusion is. But yeah, when you eat more full fat foods, you're going to feel more full when you're eating
mm,
those. There's also a lot of when you take out the fat from a lot of fat rich foods, you're actually taking out a lot of the nutrition, and so you're kind of just eating nothing.
Yeah.
when you're eating low fat foods.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that. And then you also doing other workouts.
Yeah.
What else are you? And it sounds like they're fun workouts too,
Oh,
right?
you have to look this up. It's called Clubber Size, and it,
Okay.
we went last night. It was the Halloween special, so we went along. We were all covered in like glow in the dark, like fake blood and things like that. And we do aerobic dance routines to 90s and early noughties dance tracks. And there's kind of like strobe lights and there's glow sticks, and it's just so much fun. It is so much fun. There's now I used to be the only guy that went, and there's now another guy coming along with his wife or his partner, and it's just really really good fun. You come out happy, really happy, joyous. It's such a good fun, especially if you remember
Yeah.
that sort of era. When you were younger, in your teens and 20s, you used to go out and do that kind of thing of a night time. Yeah, it's really really
Yes.
good fun. Really good fun.
Yeah. That was what I used to do when even after my wife and I met, we continued to go out, but and go out 2 or 3 nights a week. But I mean, we would just go out and we would have a couple of drinks to get going. But then as soon as we got to the dance floor, I don't think we really had any. We didn't really have anything else to drink after that.
Yeah,
But we would dance for like
yeah.
3 or 4 hours, and then we'd be. It was Austin, so it's like 100 degrees. It's 90 degrees or 95 degrees at night still, so you'd be totally drenched in sweat. But
Hmm.
definitely a solid workout.
Yeah, I love it. It's really
so
good.
um, so how has so you talked about this a little bit, but I'm curious how external support systems or communities have been helpful along your fitness journey.
I think the sort of the Facebook community and the engaged community is sort of two separate entities. Been really really good for me because I don't have other people that I can bounce ideas off for sort of fitness and things like that. And if you've got a question, you can always ask it in either Facebook group or the engaged community, and there's someone there to either answer the question or just sort of show support. And it makes a big difference. I don't have a lot of guy friends around here. I've got a couple, but not many, and we don't really get opportunities to kind of sit down and talk about stuff um, as maybe we should do. But having the communities online is a way of being able to kind of address that. So that support I think is really really important, um, and it's been really good so far. I'm amazed at how well people are gelling now. It was a bit weird at the start when I
Hmm.
first joined because it's like you don't want to kind of say too much, overshare too much, or be that
Right.
person that's always kind of like commenting on things. Um, but it's nice. It's good. I really do enjoy that. I like that aspect a lot. Yeah, everyone's been
Yeah.
really.
So
Sorry, go on.
oh, I was going to say, so what are the kind of questions, or what's the kind of what are the kind of support that you get from interacting with the community?
I think in terms of physical stuff, if you're struggling with a particular type of workout or you're struggling with sort of like weights things, there's always people on hand to give you some guidance about how to go about doing a particular weightlifting technique better or adapting a pose so you can do it better without hurting yourself, things like that.
Hmm.
The sort of more mental health side, I think, is really good as well. I had a comment on there the week that um, I'd come home from work. It was the end of the term, and it was just getting to me, and I just like kind of offloaded, and everybody was just so supportive. Not one person said you should go and do this because that's a kind of the UK British mentality is you need to go and do
Mm,
X, and we don't tend to take very well to being told what to do we? As guys, we don't do that. But
right.
having that different approach of like, I hear what you're saying, Russ, and that's normal. Everyone feels like that. That's really good. It's not just you. It's not just you that's the odd one out or overthinking things or whatever it is. It's really good to have that have people backing you up like that and saying, yeah, that hurts. That's tough. And you're right. It's
Hmm.
not right. It shouldn't happen, but it does. And that kind of validation is really really important to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, and that's been my experience too. Is some of the best support that you can get from people is just someone saying, "Hey, I've also had that happen to me," or "I also have been there," or "Hey, I know how you feel, and I think it makes sense that you feel this way." So, not even getting advice on how to fix things, but just saying like, "Oh, yeah, I had that thing too."
Yeah, yeah,
It's super helpful to be able to hear that. And yeah, I think as men, we also do try to do it's the problem solving mentality, right? It's So it is really cool that we do have that community where it's more about giving support and empathy rather than trying to problem solve
Yeah,
and
that's it.
you
I
know.
think the empathy is what's missing generally among men. We tend to laugh things off a lot, or we tend to say it doesn't bother me, but really, someone to, you know, give you a pat on the back and say it's fine. You know, you'll be okay. It'll be all right.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, thanks for answering those questions. So what's the next thing that you want to work? Oh, you know what? I had one other question I wanted to ask. So when were you? What have you been at your heaviest in terms of weight
Now, at the
now?
moment, I am the heaviest I've ever been. Well, plus or minus sort of about £10. Um,
Hmm.
let me think. When I was early 30s, late 20s, I'd go up to about 17 stone. I can't do the maths on that. I'm not sure what that would be. And I thought I need to do something about this. And I joined a slimming club. And the long and short of that is I lost about £56 altogether. And then after that, we had our daughter, and gradually I gained that back and then more. So now I'm up at about 19 and a half stone. I am definitely not going to hit 20, which I think is about 19 stone 9 is about £270, I think it is, something like that.
Hmm.
And then, as I said the other week, I'd lost 10 just out of nowhere because of the change I've made. And I thought, right, I cannot lose that. I have gained a little bit of that back, particularly while I've been away, but I'm determined to get that back down again. So my next sort of what's next for me is to go back and focus on that. I really need to get the weight down. I need to be
Hmm.
fitter in terms of that. Even just losing that small amount, I noticed it was better in my sort of abdominal area. I don't feel as full, didn't feel as heavy. My back hurt less because I was carrying less weight around, but I'm already noticing I've got
Yeah.
trouble with my knees. And my mum's just had her knee replaced, and she's 73. And I really don't want to have to go down that route. It's likely it will happen. I don't know, but I mean, if I can postpone that until for as long as I possibly can, I'm damn well going to do that.
Yeah. So what's worked for you in the past when it comes to weight loss? What strategies or
So
what has worked for you?
the 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 swimming club that I went to worked on this idea of um, you're allowed to eat certain things completely like free will, but you could eat lean sort of meats and proteins, things like that, unrestricted. You could eat um, limited amount of carbs on certain days, but then other days you could eat unlimited carbs and limited amounts of protein. So basically, creating a calorie deficit by reducing massively one of those two main macro groups. But also with that was that everything had to be fat free or less than 4% fat. So this is where this mentality comes in of
Mm.
you cannot have normal fat foods because that's I've
Hmm.
done that for so long. It's created that thing in my head that I can't do that. But now I'm beginning to change that, and I'm actually noticing benefits of not of being able to eat for my body and being listening, more mindful of what I'm eating and listening to the kind of cues that I'm getting. Because after getting to the age of I am now and just eating what I want when I want, I've totally divorced myself from the cues I'm getting inside my body. I realise that now, and having done the
Hmm.
stuff in Engage like the other month, we know about listening to your body, listening or looking out for those signs of satisfaction when you've eaten the meal. You don't have to eat everything. I've always been a plate cleaner,
Hmm.
and now I'm not. I don't have to. I'm quite happy to leave stuff on my plate. In fact, I make a point of doing that, of leaving at least a mouthful or two of food, just because I can do that. It's like no,
Mm.
I can do that, and it's not a problem. So that's some of the ways I've been sort of changing my mind, my mindset
Hmm.
about food. I have tried to get back into that sort of the slimming club way of reducing weight, but it doesn't work well with families because you have to be very restrictive in certain types of foods, and it's not good when you're cooking meals for a family. It doesn't quite
Mm.
work as well as that when you've got other
Yeah.
kids around.
Yeah, that makes it tough. Yeah, even we've heard a lot of guys like from within our community who have just resigned to the idea that my family eats one food and I make myself a separate dinner.
Yeah, yeah.
It's harder,
I'd rather not
but
do that
yeah.
because my daughter's quite picky what she eats anyway, and I don't want her to start thinking, well, dad doesn't have to eat this, so I don't want to eat that either. I wanted to be able to eat what she
Oh
wants,
yeah,
so I want to make sure that she
yeah,
doesn't see dad. refusing certain types of foods because she might get the same idea. I did intermittent fasting for a while. Actually, I tried that. And when she saw me sort of not eating breakfast, she said, "Well, I don't want to have breakfast either." And it's like, "No, love, you need to eat breakfast because you like a stick. You definitely need to eat your breakfast." So yeah,
Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Well, yeah. Sorry for problem solving instead of empathizing
no,
there.
that's okay.
um. So, all right. So that's the next thing with the fitness. Sorry, I had a question that I wanted to ask and I just forgot it momentarily here. So give me a second. We're talking about eating foods as a family, you being an example. I Oh, here it is. So it sounds like there's just a much greater theme of awareness in how you live your life. You're much more aware of stress. You're much more aware of what you're eating. You're taking time to reflect on things. Is
Hmm.
that is
Absolutely.
is that right?
Yeah. For a long time now, I realise that life was just sort of passing me by like that. When I'm at work, school days are busy. You leave the house and you head down right to the end of the day. There's always something to do, and you never get a chance to sort of kind of like sit back and go, what am I doing? Where am I? You'd be rushing to eat your lunch, that kind of thing. Coming home, having tea, and then you're just dead in the evening times. And I think like one big change for me has been just to sit back a little bit and smell the coffee, just and look at the flowers
Mm,
and be a little bit more reflective. What do I want to eat? Well, if I'm not hungry, I'm not going to eat, or I'll have this, or I want to go and do some yoga because I feel stiff, I feel sore, and I'll feel better afterwards, or sort of things like that. Is just doing things that you want to do when you want to do them, and just taking that time to be a little bit more mindful. What do I want for myself? Because one day I will wake up and I could be 70 odd, 80 odd, and that'll be it. I'll be gone. And life will just have gone by. And I don't want to do that. I really don't want to do that. We,
mm,
we talked about the seven whys thing, and I've had some time to sort of think about that. And I want
mm,
to be around for as long as I can. My dad's passed away a few years ago. He was poorly, sadly got cancer, but he worked every day of his life, and he ended up losing his job. He used to work on the railway, did like 30 odd years in the railway, and he was desperate to get a new job. And I said, "Dad, you've done your time. Don't worry about it," because he was really close to retirement age anyway. So he retired. He had about 5 or 6 years of retirement, and then sadly developed pancreatic cancer. And 18 months later, he died, and he was
mm,
71. Not massively
mm.
old, I don't think, really. But it's like, well, that's it. Your life can be gone so quick, and I think we just need to slow down, chill the f out, and just take it on board. Don't
Yeah.
don't rush,
I'm
don't rush.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad you mentioned the seven whys exercise. This is something that I try to encourage everyone to do, especially when figuring out, what is your motivation for wanting to be healthier. You can't just say, "Well, I want to look better in the mirror," because there's a deeper reason than
Yeah,
that, right? You want to be confident.
yeah.
Why do you want to be confident? You
Hmm.
want to feel a certain way, right? So we get to the bottom of things. So when you did that seven whys exercise, what was that what really came up for you? Was it recognizing I don't want to I don't want to pass away early like my dad did, or what
And
was
it's
coming up
it's
for
that
you?
whatever time I've got, I want to be fit and I want to be healthy, and I don't want to be a burden to people. I want to be able to go out and enjoy life because I work bloody hard in
Mm,
my job, and I'm going to enjoy my holidays, whatever retirement I do get. I'm going to make sure that I fill it with everything. I fill it with as much as I can. Life's out there to be seen and experienced, and that's what I want to do. That's my why. Is I want to go out, see the world, do things. I've also sort of within reason. I don't say no to anything. If there's a new experience,
mm,
something new to try, it's like, yeah, I'll give it a go. I.e., why I'm doing this because you said a bit back, would you like to do one? And I said, no, I'm terrified. And then you asked again, I thought, well, why the hell not? Why shouldn't I? I've got a story to tell. It's important.
yeah,
Let's do it. So here we are.
yeah. And you've done a great job.
Thank you.
Your answers have been great. I also succinct. You've been way more succinct than I have. I've been floundering. So yeah, thank you for holding this interview together.
I talk for a living. It's good.
All
It's
right.
fine.
Yeah, presenting that can help. All right, so I've got my rapid fire questions here.
Okay.
I suspect you might have answered some of these already, but we'll do it again. So, what is the one habit, belief, or mindset that has helped you the most with your overall health and wellness?
Uh, phew. take time to yourself. Always take time to yourself, as much or as little as you need. One thing that has helped in this sort of like being more mindful is taking that time, not feeling guilty. You come home from work, have that 20 minutes to defrag. Because if I don't defrag, I can be very ratty at home. I can be very absent because I'm still chugging away on things at work. And if need be, I'll take myself into a different room with a cup of tea, sit down and just have 10, 20 minutes to myself. Sometimes it might be longer than that, much to the annoyance of my wife. She's like, we've got jobs to do. It's like, yeah, but I just need 5 minutes to calm down, offload. I work very close where I live. I can be home in 20 minutes walking. I do drive because I have to take my daughter to school in the morning. But I used to be able to, when I worked at my previous school, I had an hour drive there and back. And that was the time that I took
Wow.
to calm down, to unwind. I got home and I was fine. I
Mm.
was back to being Russell. But now I'm out of work and I'm home and I'm still work Russell. I'm still Dr. Hagen.
Yeah.
That's my title at work, is I'm Dr. Hagen. And I've got to come out of that. It takes time. So I think that's important, is making sure that take time to process things and defrag, declutter, that kind of thing
Yeah.
is really, really good for your
Well
mental
said.
health. Yeah.
Yeah. I can definitely relate to that. So, what's one thing that you do for your health that is often overlooked or undervalued by others?
Hmm. Don't overwhelm yourself. I think going back
Mm.
to the mindful thing is be aware of how much you can deal with. You can't just keep taking things on and on and on all the time. You need time to process, like I was saying, but don't be frightened of saying, no, that's enough. I've got enough to deal with. I'm going to go away now and sort these things out, or process that information. I'll come back to you later. That's quite an
Yeah,
important thing.
I love that. What's the most stressful part of your day to day life?
Work. It's got to be.
Work.
It's fun. I love it. I would never do any other job, but it can be really hard sometimes because you literally have only one pair of hands and you need 10 pairs of hands to be a teacher in England. It's just, well, anyway, I suppose people online have said, it's no different in the States. Um, it's tough, but it's very rewarding. It's a really, really good job. I've been doing it 21 years now, and it's the only kind of proper job I've ever had. And I've loved every minute of it, but it can be really hard work. It can be mentally draining, physically exhausting sometimes, but it does cause a lot of stress. It does.
Yeah.
Wife will say, joking out, we've started term again today, so I'll see you at Christmas because that's it now. Probably want me to get me out of my mindset for the whole term. But I'm working on that. I'm working on being more present in the evenings once I've had time to sort of declutter, as it were, and do
Yeah.
things. Yeah, but yeah, it can
Yeah.
be quite stressful, but it's enjoyable.
Yeah. Well, thank you for teaching. Not everyone, not everyone's up to doing it. We definitely need them. All right, my last question. What is your best piece of advice for men who want to be healthier?
Make a bloody start. Start faffing around. Get on with it.
That's so British. I love it.
It's true though. I mean, for
uh,
years and years and years, like I said, you should be doing something, Russ. You should be doing something, Russ. I've tried this, don't like it. Try this, don't like that. And then here I am,
mhm.
48, 10 and 49 next year, and I've been up in weight, down in weight, but I've never felt as fit as I have now. In terms of body movement, things like that.
Mm.
I'm way, way better than
That's,
often I was. But you have to make a start. Pick something, make small changes, but be consistent. But make that bloody start. Otherwise, you get nowhere.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for being part of our community. I love seeing your post. You're really good about helping to inspire other people and keeping us updated on things and supporting other people as well. So yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for all that you've done to be part of our
It's a
community.
pleasure, and thank you for all that you do as well. I mean, a chance encounter on YouTube has made a big difference. It's changed what I was doing. It's changed who I am. I think really. As I say now, I'm much more chilled. I'm much a better man. Maybe I think to other people because I'm not as ratty as I used to be, and yeah, I think I'm getting wiser and more sagely as time goes on as well because I'm taking time to think about what my beliefs are and what I want to do and where I want to be and what's important in life. So yeah, the whole thing has been really quite transformative. So thank you as well for having that spark of whatever it was, whenever that was, to create Manflow Yoga. It really is. It's an amazing thing you've done, Dean. It really is.
Thank you. Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed that interview. I hope it inspires you to be a better man. You can hang out with Russ in the Facebook group or in Engage and Manful Yoga. So, again, thank you, Russ.
You're welcome. Bye bye.
All right. Guys, I'll see you on the next episode.